Testing 1, 2. Okay, well, the most important question. How do I look?
You look fantastic,
Okay,
as always.
Thank you.
Yep.
I didn't wash my hair, so I felt like I had to get a little more zhuzhed with my outfit and my makeup, so I could make up for it. Got the zhuzh. You got the zhuzh going. Tom Ryan, you handsome dog, you.
Okay, what's up?
Welcome to the Carrie. Oh, did I throw you off?
Good to be back.
Did I throw you for a loop?
Good to be back. Good to see you.
Welcome to the Carrie Croft Show, Part 2.
Yeah.
You look good?
Yeah, you too.
Spry, agile.
Yeah.
What was
Got to stay in the move.
Did you work out this morning? Did you sweat?
I actually didn't yet.
That
No, I
surprises.
just make
That
my drink.
surprises
Yeah, I
me.
know,
So
I
you
know.
have
Normally I do.
you came in here for the people at home with this waft of garlic and awesomeness, and then you said, "Don't be surprised if I smell like garlic." And then you started to tell me this little homemade elixir that you. So I think we should probably go over the recipe again, because I think everyone at home is going to be jumping to the to
once
the
you believe
grocery
in
to
something
get your
and you feel it working, you're right.
Yeah.
The trust just builds more of the behavior of I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. So walk me through the morning ritual of this drink.
Yeah, morning ritual. So it's without fail.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
So talk me through it. You get the cup out.
Get the cup out. 175 degree temperature water. I like it 175. It's perfect. Half a lemon squeezed. Cayenne pepper, which is just an amazing herb. It's one of the greatest herbs on the planet. It's a gift for us. So cayenne pepper, a couple of splashes, as much as you can handle. Shredded ginger root, about an inch and a half of shredded ginger root.
Is it pre-shredded?
No, I actually
Do you shred it? Okay. You like the
shred
ritual
it.
of shredding?
Yeah, I like the ritual of shredding.
Okay. So you buy the hunk of ginger root.
Buy the hunk of ginger root.
Okay.
I shave it down just to get the covering off, get the outer casing off, and then garlic. About an inch of garlic, shred that, and then local honey. So there's a local honey. I get my honey local, and then about 2 teaspoons of that, and voila.
Okay, and that's the first thing you do
every day
that goes into your system.
Yeah, no matter where I am. If we're traveling with the team, I bring the stuff I need.
Do they make fun of you for smelling like garlic?
Yes.
Okay, but you're going to live to be 200. So then then who's laughing now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so after you drink this, when does a morsel of food go into your system?
Typically, so then I usually I bike or I'll work out in the morning. Typically, then you sweat, and then after that I grab something to eat.
And when you say you grab something to eat, what is it usually?
Well, I'm going, less and less meat. I'm going, my wife's vegan, and she looks amazing and has been on a vegan diet for, she feels incredible. So I'm not anti-meat. Now I'm lowering the meat. I'm not a big foodie.
Don't you, me neither, but don't you believe in animal protein?
No,
don't you think that's?
I have chicken, I've seen some things about, it's a little, but yeah, I like chicken. Okay. I like steak, I like filet, I'm a filet. I'm a medium well guy though, I'm not the liver king.
Okay, no, it's gross.
No, but just
for the voyeurs at home, I just wanted to get a little, like, what's going on with Tom Ryan's daily routine? How do you look this good? Like, you really do.
Just like anyone else, it's just discipline.
Well, because you're freaking elite.
And I believe
you're
it.
elite. You wrote a book on being elite.
Yeah.
Okay, and that just leads us right in. That's a great segue into why you're here. Other than the fact that you're just a stand-up great dude, and I love being around you, and I might actually pretend like the audio didn't work again just so I could come back. Third time's a charm. But you wrote a book. Mm-hmm. I listened to the audiobook, and just the nuggets that are in there. And what I love a couple things. I love the merging of chosen and unchosen suffering, because that is what so many people who walk on this earth have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and they can't quite figure it out, right? And especially in our culture where it's like everything's happy, everything's positive, we can't go into the dark, right? It's like, no, life is hard, and you have good times, bad times, and sometimes they have to coincide. But I also love you're very old school and matter of fact and grounded in your thought process and in your philosophy in life. Listening to your book, I'm like, God, I really believe that there's so many nuggets that our kids, parents out there right now raising children, could go back to and draw from. And with that, I actually have clips from your audiobook. I liked it that much that I sat and I sliced and I diced. So we're going to start with a clip that I believe is just really poignant, because you list all of these things that just seem so matter of fact, but they're so important to guide you and to kind of give you gravity and root you in life?
This all starts with our minds, what we bring into it and extract from it. This is the battleground that must be won hour after hour, day after day, week after week. It's a never-ending fight. The 6-inch space between our ears must remain vigilant to war daily. No one can lead until they can lead themselves. Start simple. Wake up on time. Make your bed. Put away your dishes. Keep your room clean. Build simple habits. Repair you. Stop lying to yourself and others. Share the truth. Build yourself into someone strong. Only then will others look your way. Do something uncomfortable but right. Apologize to someone you wronged. Bounce your truth off reality, not your own truth. Be real when it's not popular. Stop playing the part of a yes man or a yes woman. When our words are clean, honest, and fair, no matter what happens in the moment, it's going to be good for us. You will grow to like yourself more, which is great, because that's who you'll be spending the most time with.
Drop the mic. You know what else I love about that is that you said you took the minute to say woman too, and you didn't just say man. Your book starts with these 3 pillars, that you believe are kind of the foundation. And one is the mind, the second one is the relationship, and the third is the environment. With these 3 things, you can either really go south or you can go and you can be elite. Where did all of this sort of old school stuff stem from in your background? Who grounded you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm really blessed. I had a mother that I've got amazing parents, came from a great family, grew up in the right neighborhood. And I talk about in the book, obviously, that not everybody has that gift. So it's not so easy. It's not so easy when you have all those things. But of course, I was raised in an era where there were no cell phones, there was no internet, right? There was the playground. There were buddies across the street. There were buddies in the neighborhood. But ultimately, I was raised in a home where there was incredible trust. I trusted mom emphatically. If mom said it, it was the truth, right? I couldn't fact check her, right? And the truth I'm really talking about didn't need to be fact checked, right? I was just in an environment where there was a lot of love, a lot of trust. There was a family dinner every night. We never ate out, like never once did we eat out. Mom cooked every night. There was 7 of us. We were a blended family. My biological father and mother got 3 kids by the time they were 21. Very young, marriage didn't work out, but then mom met a really special man who she's been married to now for 44 years, Sal, who's my stepfather, who's an amazing human being. I saw love. I saw the way he loved her, which we know in a family is probably the most powerful thing a father can give their children, is to deeply love their mother. I saw that. So I was really fortunate. Now, here's what I didn't know we didn't have. But now that I'm 54, I can look back and see that, well, heck, we never ate out. I always eat out. We didn't go on family vacations. I wrestled, so we didn't have some of the things that have made my life and my children's life really unique. We've been to really cool places. We've climbed mountains. We've seen the cleanest lakes in America, like things that are cool. We didn't have that. But what we had was priceless. We had the things that really matter. You can build a life on.
The first part of your book that was just even the preface, I feel like you could sit with that and take notes and listen to that over and over again. But let's break down high level, just the 3 pillars, and going back to this, how we just started it with all of those things that you just said. And for people at home, go back and listen. Go back and rewind that and just listen again and think, do I do that? Am I impeccable with my word? Do I say the tough things? Am I doing the tough things? Those things make or break, I think, the way you walk through the world. So pillar 1, the mind. So for you, high level, if you have 30 seconds for somebody out there, what do you say about the mind? The 6 inches in between, as you say, your ears.
I mean, I think first is understanding the importance of the mind. That I use the analogy of be the landlord of your mind, right? And there's incredible value in knowing that you have ownership over it, right? It's extreme ownership. So own it. You have control over what comes in. You have control over how long it stays. You have control over whether or not you want to evict it, those thoughts. So it's just really understanding the power that ultimately, if thoughts, if you allow them in and they stay long enough, typically we act on things that are in there long enough. So it's really knowing, we're talking about now a belief system, right? Knowing your belief system. I'm not talking about whether you think God is real or not. I'm saying like, these are things I deeply believe in. I believe, I believe that the longevity of my life, working out matters, right? Being fit matters, doing something physical matters. Whatever your belief system is, you get it down, you write it out, you rinse it constantly, but then you bounce your actions against your belief system. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I believe this, but I never do it.
Yep.
Well, that's not really a belief system, right? So I think it's just understanding how powerful your mind is. I think coming to terms with that.
Yeah, and going back to the title, chosen suffering, you believe that suffering is kind of the unlock, really, to being elite. And I think today, so many people are trying to be comfortable, but in your mind, if you can push yourself, whatever that is, whether it's your daily workout routine, the cold plunging is all the rage, the sauna, anything, or like an athlete, like actually going out and being uncomfortable every single day, building that muscle in your mind is so important. But see, people don't see the muscle.
Yeah.
Because it's in here, like the brain, but like, you go and you have people like so into their biceps, their triceps, their quads, because they can see it and they're like, oh, I'm gonna but then they have a little pea brain in here because they're not even trying to do anything with it. Your mind is like the watchtower and the landlord, which I love, because so many people they think they're renting. They have to go ask permission. They don't know who no, you're in control.
Yeah.
You're the CEO of your life. You make these decisions.
Yeah, and our eyes matter. What we're looking at, what we see, how we see things matters a lot. Right now, we know this, right? The most dangerous thing to mankind right now, and this is kind of like jumping into like really deep water right away, but it's porn. Like pornography, what it does to a human being, a man's mind, when they watch it, it's more addicting than crack, right? I mean, they're finding studies now that how addictive it is and how it just changes your mind, and it's very difficult to go back to where it was. So that's an extreme of, listen, know what your belief system is.
What about a woman?
Yeah, maybe.
Does it mess with the woman's mind as much?
It's both.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I don't know, maybe now and then.
Just kidding, Tom.
But yeah, it's like, but it's real, and it's, it's why it's a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry now, because it's addictive. So it's just really, really, I often think just simply, right, like most people that my life's going to end. I don't know when, but I know this. I know that when it's ending, right? I want to know the way it's going to end to some degree. I don't know. This is the legacy I'm leaving. This is the impact I'm having, and you live life that way.
Yeah. And one more thing on the mind.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said earlier about social media and iPhones and being old school. I've got another little excerpt from your profound audiobook here about that.
Can you imagine your child, neighbor, brother, cousin, or friend valuing the opinions of social media so much they feel depleted and take their life? I could write for days on the topic. Chasing the love of likes, retweets, and comments is dangerous when they become a principle by which we value ourselves. The human mind is precious, and like James Allen points out, it must be cultivated. He says, a man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind.
Social media is not going away, and we're all to some degree guilty of it.
Yeah.
Do I like likes? Sure. Do I like it? I'm watching it, and it's sort of nature of the beast for the business too. What's the best advice for parents to manage this and to bring your kid back into reality? Like, this isn't real life, because it is real life for them.
Right. I think communicating about it, talking about it. I think certainly communication with them. There are times when the phones just aren't like. Don't be afraid to parent. Don't be afraid to parent. Like, you're the parent. So it's like, take the phone. The phone has to be turned. It's on the table at 9:00. And if they fight back, they fight back. But so I think parents need to know their belief system, right? And we can lose it. We can get lost in pleasing, being pleasers. And every elite athlete I've been around that climbs really high, they had a parent or a coach, someone in their life that held them accountable and had a strong belief system and didn't waver under the duress that comes from an exhausting day. And now the kids are chirping at your ankles and it's like, I surrender, have the phone. No, your belief system has to be strong enough that you just aren't going to cater to or collapse when the rubber meets the road, which is going to constantly. And it's daunting. And we do know this now. Brain studies have shown that if you say no 5 times in a row and the 6th is a yes, the yes is so damaging. It's so damaging because now, like any creature, it believes that with enough no's, a yes will follow.
Oh, damn it.
Which is what's look, my wife and I mean, obviously I do this, right? We've done this, right? But knowing the impact, like it's like loving the person enough to let them have a little discomfort, like loving them enough to know that this is right, despite the fact that they're crying a bit and upset and may storm out of the room.
What you just said is it. Loving them enough to let them have discomfort. I think it's retraining our own brain as parents to say, wait, this is love.
Exactly.
Showing boundaries. Who's going to show them boundaries?
Yeah, love is stern.
Who's going to show them?
Right.
And so it goes back to what this beginning with all those the things you listed is drawing back on your little toolbox of your philosophy in life and making damn sure that when it's time to show that you walk the walk, right?
Yeah, and really, fine tuning and working. That's why it's so critically important that we work on us, because you can't lead anybody if you don't know who you are. You'll just cave to anything. I'm in this environment, you'll be a chameleon. I'm in this environment, I'll be this way. I'm in this environment, and I'm not saying to not be able to get along with people, but there's certainly a point where stay on your ground.
But damn it, last night, Dane asked me for this new Thomas the Train app, and I had already given him one, and on the 7th time, I said yes. Damn it, this is damaging. Right. Speaking of parenting, I've got another clip for you.
Okay.
If my children or anyone I love were around the wrong people, I'd stop it. I'd execute all measures within the law to see that my mind-polluting relationships are moved away from anyone I love. We must be willing to let people go who are a virus to our mindset or a deterrent to an organization. This is challenging as we can get caught up trying to change them. As a coach, I have a long leash, and sometimes I should let people go sooner than I do. The age-old principle is to be slow to hire and quick to fire. Struggle reveals who people are. Once it does, take immediate assessment and action.
Pillar 2, we'll call relationships. So we talked about the mind, and now pillar 2 is your relationships, right? And I mean, so you think the iPhone battle is hard, and then the kids start to grow up, and now they're hanging out with the wrong crowd, or you're not feeling it. You're like, this guy's a little unsavory, and you're saying like, I'm going to insert myself and make damn sure like I am watching. Yeah. How do you do that? So how does a parent do that right now who's out there and they see this sort of happening? There's all this peer pressure.
Yeah.
They know in their gut maybe something's not right, but they're afraid to upset the apple cart.
Yeah, I mean, I think the single most important thing is that parents realize and come to the absolute belief that the single most important thing that they are as a parent, right? You're a husband and you're a father. Right, you're a father first. Like that has to happen first. Like this is the most important thing in my life. I'm a father. I'm a mother. That's number one. Once you come to terms with that, I think if you truly believe that, then you'll start to parent the way you should parent, and that's in a way that's love is mushy sometimes. Love is being there sometimes. Love is being vulnerable. Love is being I'm not. In scenarios where it's required, I'm not perfect. You're vulnerable, right? You build trust with them, being vulnerable. But I think there's nothing more important in life than parenting. Until that's established, I think there will always be a problem with, well, how am I going to parent? I'm not going to put much time into how am I going to parent? Who am I? What am I going to stand for? What will I allow and what will I not allow? My kids can stay out all night if they're late. No curfew, or when they come in late, there's no recourse. You're not grounded. I mean, I've had to, as a parent, you've got to make some tough decisions.
Yeah.
There's tough decisions. And being their friend and being liked by them shouldn't be over leading them, right? But sounds easy. It's not easy. It's hard.
I don't want to be this overbearing, stern mom. But then at the end of it, when you see your kids as adults, I think the biggest regret would be, God, why didn't I, when I had the chance, sort of harness this in? Yeah. And now what? Now they're this, ball of mush out in the universe.
Yeah, I think the seeds are early too. I think they really are. I think that we've got to, as parents, things that happen early on, stick with them, right? It's learning, having a discipline early is a lot easier and being used to it than finding it later.
Yeah. So the third pillar, environment. You had mentioned to me, and this is more into the coaching element of it, where you'd say, you look at someone who had a stable environment where they felt loved and appreciated versus someone who kind of grew up feeling like they were scrapping. They really didn't have any sort of mentors, and the big difference that has with their mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly important. It has a tremendous impact on, I'll use Ohio State wrestling or some of the elite programs in general. I mean, we typically, the environments I've been in, this is all just, what I write about are just, I've been fortunate to be in great environments. And then I was in really elite environments. And you have a chance to assess both. This is what environment A had, this is what environment B had. But we've got to be, I think just got to be strong enough to interact when needed, when someone may not be in an environment that is ideal for them. But they always, these elite environments, they're not comfortable. They challenge, they cause discomfort often, but those are the environments. Typically we hang out with people that don't. You can move to this place where they don't really challenge me.
Yeah. And
you get comfortable. And I think the beginning of comfortability is the beginning of the end. So environment's incredibly important. I think most parents would. You're going to put your kids that try to get around the best soccer players, you can try to get into the best schools, and just be in environments that are challenging and where they can really grow.
Let's see what I've got here. This is kind of like name that tune for you. Do you like this? How you're like, okay, what sage wisdom am I going to have here in this next button? Are you ready?
Go.
We all want progress, but if you're on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the man who turns back soonest is the most progressive. C.S. Lewis. The elite understand how to cause discomfort, what I now call chosen suffering. It's always challenging because it's against our nature. Never willing to settle for the easy way, an elite person constantly moves toward pain to push themselves beyond their current abilities. This healthy kind of chosen suffering bears the richest fruit when it's aligned with our purpose. Growth means stretching away from our comfort zone.
So you're around this daily. I mean, you're, head wrestling coach for Ohio State. You've been very successful in all of your endeavors. You've won a national championship, 2015 is that?
Yes.
This is your daily grind with these athletes, right? There is no, if you're not elite or striving to be elite, you're not going to be on the team. Yeah,
I mean, it's my lens. It's a lens I see the world through. 3-4 hours a day, I'm around people that want to be elite. So it's a siphon of this person's willing to suffer, this person's not. And the reality, right, is that, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, suffering was an everyday thing, right? We're so soft. The reality is, I know how soft I am. So you try to do things that hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, was just the way it was. There was no walk to the refrigerator, open the refrigerator. You had to go hunt and catch your food, right? Things were hard. And I think it's the pursuit, like you, someone who's elite and has this yearning to work and get uncomfortable. It's good for us. It's good for us. And it was the way it was. Now you're cold plunging. Why the heck would you cold plunge, right? Why would I sit in a 180 degree sauna and just sweat it out? Because there's a calling. There's a calling to do hard things. And life's just, quite frankly, life's not easy. Life's full of hard things. But society, we build into, let's make it easier. Let's make it easier for everybody. And the really elite ones know that that's a trap.
You know what I really like about you?
Yeah.
I mean, let me get my list out. Let me get my scroll. But you are an elite coach in an elite program, and you've done this consistently. But you kind of take this parenting approach that we talked about earlier, and you inject that into your program. So something you talk about in the book is like the first thing that you make sure that these kids do is what? They write.
Right, read and speak.
They can read, and they can speak without sounding like a bubbling buffoon.
Yeah.
You know, why do you care, right? Because you don't want them to be some meathead grinding machine that a D1 program, you know, eats up and spits out and puts out on the street. And so I just think that is such a testament to you and sort of your grounded, well-rounded philosophy in life. And you probably earn their respect, and they work so much harder for you.
Yeah, I have a belief. I mean, this isn't a religious belief. This is just a belief that I believe there's a God. I believe that our job is to love his children. So that's a belief system, right? That we're here to love and his children, all people. So that's the fundamental belief system that I work off of. It's not, let me see what I can get from him and let me see what I can get from her and him. No, it's, let's see what we can do to help you be your best you. It's just a belief. And it's from a faith that there is a God.
Okay, so far, this discussion has been around chosen suffering. And that's suffering that you choose.
Yeah.
And then what happens with life, inevitably, is that we are faced with unchosen suffering. And once you're dealt the unchosen suffering to the extent that you were, it cracks you wide open and makes this chosen suffering component look like a walk in the park. You can Google. You have been very open about what happened with Teague, your son who was 5 at the time. But I think just to kind of set the scene as what happened with him.
Okay.
At 6:30 p.m. on February 16th, 2004, we arrived home from the Hofstra Wrestling Room. My kids and I gave their mother a break and spent the entire day together. President's Day recognizes the great leaders of our country and gives the kids a day off from school.
So that day, which is coming soon,
Yeah, February
right?
16th.
And is
yeah.
that just to park for a second?
Yeah.
What is that? Does that day feel the same usually, or is it every year? Does it feel different? Is there something you can always expect?
There's just a heaviness, quite frankly. I think the whole family feels it because it just brings you back to that season of life. It was heavy. And I know you've experienced the same, so it's just, there's a heaviness to it.
High level, President's Day, you guys are all having a great day. And then what happened?
So it's February 16, 2004. It's President's Day. We go to the wrestling room. We're in the room all day. Me and my 4 children. Wife was at home. We come home about 6 o'clock at night. We're at dinner, having a family dinner. My 5-year-old son, Teague, got up from the dinner table. He was, just a coach's son, healthy, little savage, could do a bunch of pull-ups, wrestle forever. Starts running around the house. My wife's chasing him. We're all laughing. We can see the chase happening, and it's really funny. And then she picks him up. She was hiding behind a wall, and he came around the wall, came around this way, and she startled him. She scooped him in her arms, brought him to the back of the house, and started screaming. I ran to the back of the house, grabbed Teague. He had no pulse. His eyes rolled in the back of his head. I put him on the coffee table, and for 11 minutes tried to keep him alive. And I think that, there's so many lessons in it, but that was the night. That was the line in the sand for me. That destroyed me, because my life really was I was where I was because I feel like I always chose the hard way. And I thought that, well, the harder you work, like you control everything. You will yourself to what you want in this life, right? Until you can't.
Yeah. And so you have other kids who were waiting for you and your wife at the door after you were coming home from the hospital.
Yeah.
And your son says to you, "Where's Teague?" And that moment was so huge because you didn't obviously know what to say, but then that became sort of your quest, like, where is Teague?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's unfortunately often it's our darkness or someone else's darkness that you're walking alongside that makes you just think about the world in a different way, right? And that question from Jake, I was a 9-year-old kid, when he came back from the hospital was, what you said, it was, where is he? And what's kind of sad, quite frankly, as I was 36 at the time, and I didn't know. I didn't process. There's a lot of things I could have told him, like the name of every major supporter. I could have told him the tendencies of every wrestler on my team. I could have told him why I chose the Cherokee over the whatever. Everything made sense. A lot of decisions were mind-based. Let me weigh this. Why would I choose this over that? But for some reason, I never thought about what happens in death.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course. And in that way, you would never even fathom as a parent.
Yeah. I mean, it was the unthinkable, right? It was the unthinkable. Losing a child was not something that I ever thought about. It doesn't happen because it just doesn't happen. 5-year-olds don't pass before their parents. And
yeah.
It's just, there's a structure to life that we think it's supposed to follow. But the structure is always shaken up, which is why I love sports so much, because you can shake up someone's structure in a safe way. You can shake it up constantly. I didn't make the team. I made the team. Struck out 5 times. It was all my hits went into the net, right? And it's such a safe environment to grow and realize that your life's going to be shaken up. And if the worst thing that happens is you lose a wrestling match, you're pretty darn lucky.
So this happens, and it rocks your family to its absolute core. And I can't help but think of your wife and just being a mom and trying to figure out how you're going to go on. Not only just because how are you going to go on, but then you have these other kids, and then she has you, which it does go in that order. Like, I mean, some people say, well, the family, the wife and the husband were always, but as a mom, your kids are going to be in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. So how were you guys able to get through that? Because I know that had to be almost impossible.
It was almost impossible, but yeah, we did, and it was hard and it was ugly, and there's no blueprint for it. Now looking back, that we're almost 19 years removed. I've got the gift of time to say, well, we did make it through, but what I know now, we would have done these things differently, But in the midst of it, number one is you just stay together. I wasn't great during that time. She wasn't great during that time. We kind of lost each other a little bit. We were both suffering so much. And as you know, when you're suffering, you assume that maybe the other person's not as much, and you don't want to, dump your suffering on them in any given day. So I have regret during that time that I didn't my core should have been stronger in managing my marriage and my children. It was just a tough time. It was a really tough time for me. It was a dark time for me.
But how would you, when you say your core should have been stronger, I mean, can't you look back and give yourself some grace? Because how could anyone in that situation be able to manage all of the grief? Yeah. Of course, as a man and a father and a husband, you're like, oh, I should have, would have. But my God, you were also going through something that is unthinkable. And when you say your core should have been stronger, what, looking back, do you feel like you should have done different?
Yeah, I think probably communicate. We tried to we got counseling a little bit, and then the kids didn't like counseling, right? So there it goes. Well, the counseling was good for them. I should have stuck with it, My kids are all doing well now. It was just a dark time. My wife it's her baby, right? Her baby, and she really shows. She's an amazingly strong woman. She came through it. Our marriage made it, but and that's when I really started to strengthen who I was. I was 36. I thought I knew everything. Mm-hmm. I thought I had life in order. And then I didn't have life. Then life was in complete disarray. And my faith really helped. It didn't really help. I can only say this. Had I not moved toward faith, I don't know where I'd be right now. I don't know. I only know what happened. And that was that I actually looked into the options of the beginning of life. And I think it became overwhelmingly clear. And I shouldn't keep saying for me, but I say that, but that there's a God, and he carried me through this.
For someone or people who are early in their stage of grief, let's say something, someone's listening to this and something horrible happened recently, or they're just trying to figure out a way to get through it. What would your advice be?
So the first thing I would say is, having the lens that I have now, is get help. Talk to somebody, talk about it. I mean, don't be afraid to talk about it. I'd say dig deep, like dig deep. Pursue truth. So, I got to the place where I was grateful the way my son died. That's where I'm grateful.
I read that.
Like and that's just true. I'm grateful. You see kids overseas, they're dying in wars, they're getting, all these ways that people suffer. Like this kid lived an amazing life for 5 years. He was in, he was out. It was hard, but I'm like, thank God, I know where he is. So, obviously I believe in prayer. I believe in quiet time.
Can we go back to that
Yeah.
for a minute? Because when I read that about how you actually were grateful, how you got yourself to that point, I think that's important for people to hear, because put yourself as that 36-year-old man walking up to the house and seeing your kids. You never in a million years would have thought that you could have that perspective. I think people knowing, that if you're in this horrible, dark, unchosen suffering, there is something more there where you will be able to see in a different way. You will be able to, is it move on? Is it, what is, I don't even know what the word is, but you'll find yourself in a different place where you could actually say, I'm grateful for the way he went. Yeah,
time is a gift in many respects. It has been for us, but time spent, moving toward truth. It wasn't just time sitting there hoping things are going to get better. You've got to have a target, and you've got to apply work toward it. But yeah, if someone told me, even a year after I lost Teague, that life would ever be as enjoyable as it was on February 15th, I would have questioned that greatly. But I can say without question, it's as good as it's ever been, if not better. So when you're in that place, as heavy and as dark and as painful as it can seem, distance from it will be your friend.
In doing the work, because something else you said in your book was that if you don't I'll just call it do the work, but it's wasted suffering.
Yeah.
And man, think about that. When you say it's wasted suffering, if I'm going to be suffering and going through all this, God, I want to have a purpose. I want to have a reason. But you have to dig deep, right? And do the work and really get into those dark nooks and ugly places. Yeah, well, I know before we started, you were talking about this lens in general that people have on. And it's like we make decisions with this predetermined lens that we're wearing. To really grow, the lens has to be ripped off, right? The lens that I had at 36 is far different than the lens I had at 54. Sure, there are a lot of principles that are still applied, but you've got to be willing to be naked, to strip yourself of what you believe, of what you completely believe. And once you strip yourself and open yourself up to the work, it's amazing what happens, right? Now, do you communicate with your wife? Did you ever say to her, like, I'm really proud of you? I'm sure you look back at her journey to come back to life again and to sort of do this in her own way, her own suffering. But do you ever communicate that verbally? Like, man, you're a warrior. Oh, you're a savage. Yeah, no, we have our marriage as good as ever. There was a time when we just couldn't imagine children not in the house. But the empty nester thing is really good. And it is, the principle is husband and wife are number one, and the children, although they're not always, but they're not as important. I think that reason is they're going to leave the house. Yeah. And when they do leave the house, a lot of times it's like, wait, who are you? You're my wife. Oh, I don't really know a lot about you anymore. It's been 15, 20 years of catering to these children, and I've kind of lost you. And I think it's so important to not lose this single most important person to you, which is your significant other. Well, but you also had Nanny and Pop-Pop, which we talk about Nanny and Pop-Pop in the book. I had a Nanny and Poppy. Oh, really? You had a Poppy? Yeah, huh? And so Nanny wore shirts, right? You said one. Oh, like, I'm always right, always wrong. Yeah. And then, Pop-Pop says, marriage is not for your happiness, it's for your holiness. That's right. damn right it is.
Because
man, that shit ain't easy.
Hard. It is hard.
Pop, you're right. You were right. You know, and I mean that's too. You were given, again, your environment. You were given this solid platform and modeling to understand that, like, you know what, you guys are going through something unthinkable. Yeah. But like, this is the guidebook.
Yeah, and there is a guide. The guidebook. There's a guidebook, and the best chance of things going well. I brought my grandson into practice the other day. He's 2. Rhett's 2, and I brought him and I showed him. This isn't like, and I mean it's an emphatic. It's an absolute truth. But like his mom and dad deeply love each other. His dad is my son. His mother loves me and my wife. And when you see a couple that loves each other, and my son gets along with her parents and she gets along with us, it's like I get to watch him whenever I want. Like, because sometimes you're in relationships that may not be so healthy and she doesn't like your parent, like all this stuff can happen. So it's like assess it and deal with it now. Because the problems are only going to grow. Like, deal with it now. Don't pretend that, it's all going to work out. It will not work out. It will not get any better. Marriage only heightens issues to some degree, right? Yeah. It right. So it's like, the bottom line is deal with the tough stuff. Like, don't just pretend it's not there, because it will only grow. So my point to them was, if you're in maybe a relationship that isn't really healthy, figure out, do the work to make it healthy, or get out of it.
You could be a marriage counselor. That's, you know what? That's real cut and dry. I like that cut and dry.
It is cut, right? It is.
It's true.
It's hard, but it's not hard. It can get worse.
Oh yeah.
Right? It can get worse. So you want your you want your dad to play with your grandchildren. You better make sure he's in a healthy relationship with a woman that's going to bring those kids by.
Yep.
And the same reverse.
Is your name Pop Pop?
But yeah, I'm Pop Pop.
Oh, you are, aren't you? You're Pop Pop.
In honor of Pop Pop.
Oh, I love that.
There's only one option.
Nanny and Pop Pop. So what about your kids?
Yeah.
You know, how did losing Teague, like, what do you see in them? What did you see that, like, changes, or, there had to be some kind of shift.
Yeah.
How did that affect them? And it probably affect them differently, I would assume.
It was very hard. My oldest son is Jordan, and he's brilliant. He's a 36 ACT guy. This guy's brain is at another level. He thinks at another level. And so he got the best memory. He was the oldest. He remembers the most. So it's very hard on him. We thought he had the same heart condition that Teague had. Teague died of a massive heart attack. We thought it was called long QT syndrome. Everybody got tested. We thought Jordan had it. So Jordan, quite frankly, he was hooked up to machines at night because he was so afraid he wasn't gonna wake up in the morning. So he dealt with a lot. And then Mac was 3. And she lost her playmate, but you don't really get a sense of a 3-year-old. And then Jake hit hard too. Jordan was 11, Jake was 9, and he was his wrestling partner. I can tell you this though. I can tell you all of them took something so like they live.
Yeah.
Like they live. Like Jake's climbed mountains, and Mackenzie's in Hawaii right now, and like they want to see the world and live. And that Jordan was running a company with a startup company, and it's like they saw life just like taken from someone that you realize how tender it is.
Yeah, them living that way is a gift, and it's hard to believe again.
Right.
When something like that happens, it's so just unimaginable that there's gifts that come.
Right.
But then looking at it today.
Right. I would have never thought at the time. Well, he's gonna understand that the gift of just really living hard.
Yeah.
Like live hard, like enjoy your life, live hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a lot of lessons. Yeah.
So I have one more clip, and then I'll let you off the hook with the clips. But the clip with your friend Billy, and I didn't know he's a celebrity. I mean, you're a celebrity, he's a celebrity, but the clip with him and the text really, it hit me hard. Obviously because of the emotion for you. But really, it does, again, remind you that you have to work the suffering in with the happiness, and those two coexist together.
Phone flooded with congratulatory messages. One struck my soul hard. A true longtime friend during the most difficult challenge in my life, Billy Baldwin, said in a text to my wife how elated Teague must be for his dad. It shot an agonizing pain through my heart. Billy knew my pain. Two types of suffering collided in that moment. Upon reading my wife's text containing Billy's comment, I quickly moved to a quiet corner under the arena seats, out of sight of the 20,000 roaring fans and athletes that filled the underbody of the arena. And I dropped to my knees behind a dark curtain. Searing, gut-wrenching tears burst from the depths of my soul. The pain of indescribable loss, unfulfilled potential, and erased dreams stung.
So here you are, win a national championship. This is the highest of the high, and this happens. When you hear that, can you feel the way that you felt?
Yeah, I think trauma takes you right back to the moment, right? It takes you there. I can feel it. I can see everything. Yeah.
Because I would think, trying to put myself in your shoes, and what you just said about the missed opportunity and just missing him, and just wanting him to be there. That to me would be like the hardest part. How often do you let yourself go to that part about missed opportunity and what might have been? Is that a place you have to really shelf? Because I feel like that can be not productive, but so natural and so human.
Yeah, I think those times, they're not like pre-planned, but like listening to that and when one of them graduates from high school, or when Jake was in the state finals, it's like Teague would have been there with him. And so I think there's just moments in life, of course, February 16th, December 1st, which is his birthday. I think it's healthy, to go back and, looking forward, of course, is so critically important, but looking back is important too. Not just getting caught in the back though, right? Not getting stuck there. But it really helps me. It helps me. I could have lost more children. I've weighed that too, right? You lose one, it's like there's no way I'll lose another one. But you can lose more. So you find your place. The amazing. It's just grace. It's the grace of God. You can find yourself in a place where you're just thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
I not often, but I certainly think about what life would be like with Teague right now. It's funny. For Christmas, I was gonna, they do those sketches of what he would look like now. We got these amazing pictures, so many pictures of him. What would he look like? What would he look like now as a 25-year-old? He was born in 1998, so December 1st of 98. So what would he look like? Yeah, that was an intense moment, and that was really the foundation of the book, which was most of our lives, at least my life, was so easy that it was framed in a world of chosen suffering.
Yeah.
But that it really was unchosen suffering that brought me to my knees. My chosen suffering never did. Losing a state championship, your team second at nationals, it's painful, but this unchosen stuff can really take us to a place where you evaluate at a much higher level.
I hope people who are out there in my community, like they might see a wrestling coach and then think, oh, we're going to talk about wrestling and I don't care about right. But what you created with this book and your story in general is so profound to me and so important. And I feel like, you don't have to have suffered a great tragic loss to relate to this. This is everything from how to raise your kids to how to have a freaking moral compass to how to do hard things. You can, there's so much goodness in it. So I highly recommend that people out there buy it or listen to the audiobook or whatever, because it really is full of just sage wisdom. Now for the most important question of the day, because I'm curious about this since you're an Ohio State coach and everything that's going on with Ohio State football, even though you're a wrestling coach.
Yeah, well, they're all my brothers there, man.
I know you bleed scarlet and gray.
Oh, yeah.
So is your day ruined? Like, how bothered are you right now by Michigan kind of like, being the big dog? I was going to say something I was going to say something really inappropriate, but you're too classy of a guy for me to say it. The slapping their cocks out and winning. They really slapped it out.
It hurts.
And with Harbaugh being so weird, and then all of a sudden now he's like the the big D on campus. How's this feel? Is there a looming sort of emasculating? This is how I envision it.
Yeah.
Because I'm an Ohio State fan,
Yeah,
but I'm a 10,000 foot view. My dad is like a huge. I mean, the guy can't handle when the Buckeyes lose, right?
Right.
So I feel like until something changes with this, there's going to be this like maize and blue cloud over.
Yeah.
So how do you feel?
Well, you know, there's a sense of there's like men like your father, like the world will not be back on its axis until things are back in place, which is Ohio State on top of the country. So I kind of feel that way too. You know, I want to crush them. You know, there's this weird, like even, there's a lot of guys, like, we know the sacrifice, those, you know, the guys in the team, there's a lot of great men there that you know, trained hard but at Ohio State, things are just better when we're on top. So we gotta, and wrestling too. They're very good at wrestling as well. But it doesn't destroy me. I just don't like it. Like I don't like it. It's
there's
something.
A weird feeling.
There's
right?
a weird feeling. Yeah. There's a weird feeling that this isn't right.
And I think the Harbaugh factor adds.
He magnifies everything.
Adds to it, and then the sign thing kind of adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I try to never. People are motivated enough.
Right.
I try to never. You win and lose.
Don't poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear, man. Just win and lose with class, and you don't want to inspire anybody more than they already are inspired.
But I feel like they took little so they had the icing on the cake, and then they had the cherry on top. And then I think that national championship game was just them putting the little sprinkles on it. Did you watch the game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I watched.
I mean, you have to watch the game, right?
Of course.
I mean, the way
I
that
was
they
cheering so hard for the Huskies.
But I mean, the way that they just it was like the Huskies were like, they just took their little booties and just started smacking it right in the. I mean, it's like smack that booty.
It was hard to watch.
So I go back and forth between like, I'm an Ohio State fan. I don't want the maize and blue to be victors, but they are, and I kind of have to give credit where it's due on that one. They smacked that booty.
Well, you're right, and that's it. That's what a true leader does. It's like, hey, we'll get them. It's their time. We'll get them. I like the moves we've made too lately. Sound like too much, but we've got this. We got some good. We've got some good some transfers and some good recruits coming in.
And I say all that to say, before I get all these Bucknut fans up my ass over that comment, I do look forward to the day when we can just whip them back into shape and show them who's boss. Right?
That time's coming.
Tom Ryan. I mean, do you feel the love like I feel the love? I mean, I appreciate you doing part 2, and you were just so gracious to come back. And even though I fumbled the ball.
Yeah, I listened to your interviews. Like I told you, I was intimidated, man. You're so smart. You're witty. It's like I'm just a rap.
Hey, can you talk? Can you keep what else am I? Come on, what else?
Witty and smart and beautiful. It's like, oh my God.
I love it. You want to come back again tomorrow?
I knew it would be deep. I like light. I
think we kind of snorkeled along the bay, and then we dove in. I think the fluidity of it. I think it was great, right?
Yeah, it was great.
And with that, Tom Ryan, sincere thank you. I appreciate you and your elite ass more than you'll ever know. And everyone out there, if you're still following your girl, please follow me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you're hearing and seeing, just send it to a friend. Phone a friend, text a friend, call a friend, tell them you like the show, and spread the word. And with that, be elite, do hard things, and keep moving, baby.
Keep moving.